All right, I will call this meeting back in order at 7:56 p.m. City Clerk Domingo, take roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Here. All right. In your packet, you have the meeting minutes to our October 17th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Next is the approval of our second reading, the adoption of ordinance 2022-07. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Attorney Harkness.
So as you recall, you've actually seen this before. Director Arnold gave an overview last time. This is just a readoption of the overlay district in the industrial park. There was an issue with the notice that went out at the planning commission stage. And so I advised Director Arnold so just to err on the side of caution, we should restart the process and do a whole new set of new notices. The issue was the notice listed the rezoning as a appeal rather than a rezone. So just to dot our i's and cross our t's, just readopting it with the appropriate notice. So otherwise, the ordinance is completely unchanged from the previous time the council adopted it.
Do we have any questions for our attorney? City Clerk Domingo.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2022-34 to approve the advanced construction contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation?
So moved. Support.
Attorney Harkness.
So this is a contract with MDOT for road improvements. It's going to include River Street, Haven Road, Albion Road, from Superior Street out to the city limits. There's going to be a lot of different things, as you can see in the resolution, includes some tree removal, ditching, aggregate base, bridge deck repair, concrete curbs, sidewalk and curb ramps, storm sewer work. They're going to be working on culverts. They're going to be putting some permanent signage in and markings and related work. So it's going to be a combination of two different federal funding sources. Initially, the city is going to have to front the $281,250, but it's going to be reimbursed to the city by those two grants. So it's going to be, it should be zero out of pocket to the city at the end.
Great.
I have reviewed the MDOT contract. I don't have any issues with it, and so staff is recommending approval.
Do you have any questions for our attorney? Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Yes, so when you say there's no problems, so you're saying you believe that is going to be approved, or it is already approved? The reimbursement, the two grants.
So I spoke with City Manager Snyder. She advised that the money is going to be reimbursed.
Okay.
There wasn't, she said that there wasn't an if, it was a what. I'll defer to Chief Kip if he has different information.
The same information I had, I was told that the money would be completely reimbursed to the city.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any additional questions? City Clerk Domingo.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the declaration and notice for the Albion River Trail.
So move.
Support.
Attorney Harkness.
So, as council is aware, the city's been working on the river trail for quite some time. As part of the project with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, what we have to file as part of the project is what's called a declaration notice. This just gets recorded with registered deeds. What it boils down to is this, it just basically puts the public on notice that we won't alter the use of the river trail unless we have the okay from the Department of Natural Resources to do it. So I mean, they basically help fund this project with the idea that it's going to be used as the river trail, and so we can't modify our use of it without their approval. Just so council's aware too, normally how this works is normally the municipality doing these declarations actually owns the property. But you can see from the attached maps, almost none of the, in fact, I don't think any of the property is actually owned by us. We have easements across all of these privately owned parcels. I modified the declaration to reflect that we had recorded easements as opposed to outright ownership. The individual that was assisting the city with this project, Mr. Mark Lilly, did run the amended declaration notice past the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, and they have okayed it. So they're fine with the modifications, and so we just need council's approval, and then we'll get this declaration recorded, and that should tie up this end of the river trail project.
So I want to point out on page 54, the map street name is incorrectly identified as Michigan Avenue. I believe that's Austin Avenue.
Yes.
So I don't know if that affects anything, but we probably should. And the same on page 56.
I will.
I think,
Go ahead.
I think that's outside city limits right there.
Is Albion,
It is Michigan Avenue once you leave the city, so.
is Albion Road the boundary? I thought it went out to the,
No, yeah, you're right. It's 27 Mile Road.
Oh, okay, I see it on the first.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
on the
it's-
last
Yeah,
one,
I
yeah.
think that's probably the mistake is that they
Right.
didn't change it on that.
I got a question.
So is it Michigan or is it, I mean, Mr. Lilly did the math, so
It's Austin Avenue until you get to 27 Mile Road, leaving the city, and then it becomes Michigan again.
because the industrial park is in city property, and this is,
so that's fine. I'll tell Mr. Lilly that the map needs to be updated to reflect that, but that's
Yeah.
fine. So then when we do the approval, we just motion to amend it with the correction that the street be identified as Austin.
so moved.
He said you had to say it. He
I got a
first got
question.
question.
Yeah, Councilman Williams had a question.
So the bathroom at McCullough Park, the water's off because the water main, I think, broke underneath the trail. Is that gonna be an issue when they go to fix the water line?
You know, Kevin can answer that question.
Well,
So what had occurred with the new bike trail through there? Some paving had occurred. We recognized after the paving that we had a water issue with the service to the bathrooms at McCullough. Rather than tear up the new trail, it was decided to put that water repair off until hopefully this fall. Depending on the weather, we might get that repaired before the ground freezes too hard. What we're anticipating on doing is digging both sides of the trail, replacing the water line underneath it without disturbing the trail. That's our hope. If we can do that, the water should be up and running. If not, all water's off at all parks right now. But hopefully in the spring, we have bathrooms in.
Perfect, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
So Councilman Trent, do you want to make a
Make the motion now.
motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Councilman French, we need you to.
So the motion is that we correctly label the streets on the maps provided in the proposal.
Yeah,
Support.
Support.
Do we have further discussion on this item?
I'll advise Mr. Lilly, who I'm sure we'll get with our engineer to correct those, and we'll have them corrected before we submit it to the registered deeds for recording.
Are we go with that?
Mhm.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Waller,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. I have a motion to approve the letter of support for the Michigan Neighborhood Enhancement Program. I'm sorry.
Was that the motion on the, that was the, on the.
That was the
Amendment.
amendment. You gotta-
Amendment, I was your vote on.
And then motion to approve of the resolution as a whole.
Correct.
Yes. So
So moved.
support. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the letter of support for the Michigan Neighborhood Enhancement Program.
So move.
Support.
In our package, we have a letter of support for this initiative for the grant application. Basically, the county is going to be handling the applications given from our residents. So this is just a letter of support saying that we want to be a part of the program. Do we have questions in regards to this? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Next on the agenda is a discussion of council members' cooperation with internal investigation. Chief Kip, you want to take the lead?
It was sent out in the email, the request to have Councilwoman Reed and Councilman Williams participate with an internal investigation that was ongoing. They have not replied back to the investigator, so. send it.
What? What are we doing?
Well, there was a request from Deputy Chief Jason Kern for both of you to answer questions regarding an internal investigation that's going on with staff right now. And neither one of you replied back and talked to him about that, so.
So how do we investigate our own selves?
We don't.
We don't.
You said Kern or somebody.
Huh?
Turns is the police officer.
He's doing an internal investigation on
So how
staff.
can the city of Albion investigate the city of Albion?
That's why it's called an internal investigation.
Okay.
That's how they are done.
I'm
Yeah.
been here 6 years. I don't know. It's always been an outside investigator.
This isn't an investigation on the council. This is an investigation on staff members that report to me at this time, so.
So part of our packet, we have information in regards to our city charter and council rules in regards to council members' code of conduct and rules that we follow. So this is just brought up for discussion so that we can help address and hopefully getting cooperation from our two council members.
I read all of that, but what do you do when you don't have anything?
So I mean, then that's what you tell,
And I should just call Kearns and tell him I don't have anything to say.
well, you would want to request a meeting with him.
He has actually questions for you. I mean, you can choose not to answer those questions, but employees are mandated by policy to answer those questions. So I would think that the council would cooperate in the same sense that employees have to per policy.
I will get in touch with Kearns tomorrow because I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, so he would, I mean, like Chief Kip says, he has the questions and whether or not you want to answer those questions.
I'll reach out to Kern as well.
Councilman
Appreciate it.
Waller, did you have?
I was just gonna ask Colin, did he have any feedback on it? That's all.
I mean, so what I would say is, I mean, obviously, council can, or individual members of council can obviously volunteer to participate, of which, you know, will obviously facilitate things, but I would say that there are sometimes legitimate reasons why someone could elect not to participate, I would say, obviously. Everyone, including council members, has a Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate themselves, and so. In the event that a statement they may make could incriminate themselves, they could decline to participate on that basis. I don't know that that's the case, but I mean, council members enjoy that constitutional right just like anyone else would. If council members elect not to participate, I think that's also allowed, but council would then have to decide whether or not they need to address it. Either, if they think that there's been an ethical violation, they could address it through the ethics ordinance or a policy violation. I don't know that that's the case, but council does have those options available to them. But it sounds like everyone's going to cooperate now, so it seems like a moot point.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Colin, so council members are considered employees of the city. Does Garrity apply the same way it does to other employees?
I just wanna see.
So the attorney in me always says err on the side of caution. That is a matter of first impression for me, so I would have to research that, but I would advise public safety to err on the side of caution if you have that question.
Okay.
And in the interim, I'll get you a definitive answer. And share that with council.
Do you have any other comments from council? So Councilman Williams and Councilman Reed, you will make contact with Deputy Chief Kern to schedule an appointment.
And so the council understands what Garrity is. Garrity protects employees from self-incrimination or the Fifth Amendment. It requires them to not to tell the truth and to actually tell us what happened, but that can't be used against them in court. So.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right. Motion to approve $30,573.50 for the Northern Pump and Well for pump number 2 repairs.
So moved.
Support. And Director. Are we gonna, Kevin?
Come on up. Yeah.
Come on up and give us info.
Dustin is our superintendent, that would be addressing the need for this pump.
All right.
Good evening. Any questions? The well in question is our number 2 well at our main treatment plant. We have 2 on site and both of them do need some love. So we're gonna try to get this one done this year and hopefully get the other one done next year. Our plant is currently rated at 4 million gallons a day. And currently with the status of these 2 pumps, we're lucky to get 2 million out of it. So we're at that point.
And how old are these pumps? You have it?
They've been tinkered with over the years. I think the last time it was, let's say 2015.
2015.
Right.
So 2015 was the last time they were addressed, or is that how old it is?
No, they're I'm not exactly sure the last time they were completely rebuilt, but I know that's the last time that they were pulled for inspection.
Yep, Councilman French.
The short answer is probably more than 20 years.
Well, the
Time
plant
we
was
bought
built in
them.
2000, so.
Yeah. 22 years is when the pumps were installed.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember French.
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Oliver,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yeah. The motion is to approve the donation of the basketball court at Pearl Park by Christ Apostolic Church.
So move.
Support.
Okay, so in our packets, we have information and the rendering. Director Arnold. Here, yep, right there. Give us a little bit more information.
Good evening.
So what we have in front of you is a donation through Christ Apostolic Church on behalf of some portion of their congregation.
Their name
They
is.
couldn't get much more basic. They're looking to donate us a basketball court at Crowell Park. 40 foot, 44 by 66 feet. With hoops. They included kind of a scope of work there and a little narrative from Pastor Irwin there. So if you have any questions, I'd take them. But I consulted Director O'Brien on this, and from our view and from the responsibilities of our departments, there's no reason to say no to this. So if they're offering, we would recommend accepting.
Councilman French.
So, I recall many years ago having a conversation about, easements around water towers. And the safe, that there had to be undeveloped space around a water tower. So I assume that that's been looked into and that we are still in compliance with state/federal law to do that.
Yep, paving does
Fantastic.
not count as a structure.
Fantastic. So no bleachers, which is too bad, because that probably would have been great.
Yeah.
I think go around. Councilman Davis.
Okay, what about liability? Are we just donating it to them, and who is going to be responsible if there is an accident or something like that?
So residents assume the same liability that they do on any of our park equipment.
So-
Using this, we will have our building official from Safeville take a look at the hoops once they're installed, just to make sure that they're cemented in properly. And
Okay, so we still basically own the property.
absolutely,
You're just.
yep.
Use.
Councilman Williams.
Thank you. Is legacy cost a concern at all?
No, that's what I spoke with Director O'Brien about. We're not concerned about the maintenance costs on this stuff.
Gotcha.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson, I thought you had said that your question was the same.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem.
No, well, it's not. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I think it is a gracious donation. I'm quite sure many individuals and young people would love this as well. I don't have anything against it no more than who's going to continue to monitor it and watch over this area right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say it's gonna get the same monitoring that any of our parks do, which I think for the most part is not very much active monitoring. But it's just an opportunity to take a donation from the community and give an asset to our residents.
All right.
Are we gonna be able to use their parking lot? Because there's no place else.
No, I mean, this does not, the scope of this donation does not really play into the use of that parking lot. And actually, I believe that the church is in the process of selling their facility. No, their parking lot does not enter into the agreement at all. It's just, this is the park directly neighboring their property, and I think they selected that due to its lack of amenities. And yeah, they won't really be involved in it after, well, if you say yes tonight, after this week.
My concern is though, where are the people who want to go to the park going to park their cars? Who, say for instance, want to have basketball game there.
Yeah.
Where are they gonna park cars?
Well, our back parking lot at City Hall is, I think, less than a quarter mile from there. I actually, when I went to take the measurements, I walked from City Hall up to there. So we've got some public parking available, but it's not. We're not planning to add any to Crowell Park anytime soon that I know of.
And there's also the street parking.
For I mean, for
No.
a lot of folks, I know there's not a whole lot of kids on your street, but
Yeah.
it's a pretty close walk to a lot of the neighborhoods right
Basketball
around there.
court, you don't worry whose street it's on, you just go to the court.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's why I wondered, because I know on Clinton Street, there's no park. There is some going down Chestnut. And I don't know about the one that's up by that Austin School.
Fine.
If you can park
Yeah.
on either side of there.
There's a little bit of parking on Clinton along the park there, but not much.
Clinton,
Yeah, along the park, there is some parking there.
there is some
Yeah,
parking.
not a lot, but there's a little bit.
It's on Pine Street, it is.
Yeah, in Pine Street.
Pine as well.
No.
Okay, well, that's what I'm talking about.
Pine and
That's
Clinton.
That runs in front of,
In Mulberry, yeah.
Austin, yeah.
And I guess it bears repeating for anyone who is listening and might use this in the future. The parking lot behind City Hall, as long as you're staying the river side of the streetlights there, that's public parking that's owned by the city of Albion. So you can feel free to park out back and walk up the hill.
Councilman Law, did you have a question? Councilman French?
So maybe this is something that we as a council can address, moving forward. We do have the authority, I believe, in adding parking spaces to a street like Clinton. It's wide enough to have street parking on the park side. So if there's only 2 or 3 spots, we could add 3 or 4 more. My guess is, except during times of church worship services, the church isn't regulating their parking structure or parking lot, that you would be able to park there. And that's certainly, we could get clarification from the church. I think that so for a basketball tournament on a Saturday afternoon, I'm not sure when Apostolic Church has services, but not likely at that time. But I think there's all kinds of workarounds that would be, this is a giving and supportive community. I think so for this basketball court, and then having other people and the city council getting involved in trying to maximize parking would be a great project for us all to get behind.
And
And they
also-
use, they use the streets when there is overflow at Apostolic, so it really isn't a problem in Albion.
See, that was kind of my concern, because I know that there, since I live down by there, I can see.
Mhm.
And sometimes the parking lot is completely full, the street is completely
Mhm.
full down, the other
Mhm.
street is. So I was just wondering,
Yeah.
what they were going to use for parking.
I would just like to also add that I think this court will have the best view in town. Definitely have the best view in
That's
town.
why I was asking the question.
And that's quality.
Right across the street, there's a vacant lot that's owned by Habitat. If they wanted to buy in and make a parking lot.
All right, any other questions? City Clerk Domingo, thank you, Ian.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Dollar.
Yes.
Davis,
Yes,
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for the Albion Community Garden.
So move.
support.
So we do have information in the packet, but then also Chief gave us a document with prices on it right before the meeting. You have that on your
That's the
desktop.
document that was given to us at the last meeting.
Attorney Harkness.
So I just wanted council to know this is a significantly more detailed memorandum of understanding that what was done in years past. There are currently underscores under section 3, A, B, and C for what the price is, because while we got proposed prices from the Trinity Gardens, I didn't know if those were the numbers you actually wanted to use in the memorandum of understanding. So, I mean, council will need to decide tonight what numbers, if any, they want to use, but otherwise I've added some additional language that makes it more, really firms up the contract between the community gardens and the city.
And Jeff Heston's available to speak to the water rates if you have any questions as far as the rate and how much water that would actually cover.
Come up here.
Should we have them come up?
Yes, please. He came, we might as well have the work. He came, might as well make you work.
So according to our adopted water rates coming up in 2023. The typical single-use household runs in a quarter about 10 units, a unit being 748 gallons. 10 units being 7,480 gallons. That's about what you're looking at as far as is the $63 a quarter charge. Thinking of 2 quarters. What that breaks down to at 10 units. Oh, so quickly too, like your typical house. With their pop-up sprinklers. Those systems average about 16 gallons per minute on average. So using that 16 gallons per minute, at 7,480 gallons for 10 units over a quarter. That comes up to about 7.7 hours of watering per garden,
7 per garden.
7.7 hours of watering per garden per quarter. So that give you an idea. I mean, I don't know how often you water your garden.
Well, sorry. I'll wait for,
Oh, yeah, Councilman.
Oh.
I'm writing.
people typically don't water their gardens in the winter. So.
These
Gets
are
you.
for 2 quarters in the summertime, and I think there's only one of them that he'd like to keep open.
Oh,
year-round.
okay.
The first two are only 2 quarters during the summer, and then C would be for the entire year, because it's for the hoop house.
Yes. That's my understanding.
Okay. Not enough.
I'll give you perspective of what those typically are.
So what about is the total charge? Total amount that they're talking about?
For the 2 quarters, at $63 and whatever a quarter, so $126 for the season for the 2 gardens, and then 200 and.
40.
Per quarter.
Yeah.
253
Times
Right.
4.
Without putting a meter on them and figuring out exactly how much water they're using, I really don't have a firm number to tell you how much their gardens will use.
Councilman French.
So we didn't meter them last year. Okay.
So they've had an agreement since 2016, 17. And this is the rate that they've been paying from that agreement. That agreement was entered into with Dr. Mitchell. And so Cullen, when I gave this to him, upgraded this with more information in it. And we felt that this should be a decision that the council makes, not the city manager.
So if we, sorry,
Go ahead, Councilman French.
so if we extrapolate old rates 2017, new rates 2023, what's the difference? What are 10 units going to cost us in 2023?
Oh, that's
At 63?
that's the for one person using 10 units is $67 a quarter.
And what was it in 2017?
That I don't know.
I'd have to,
Yeah.
But my guess is
So
7 hours a quarter is not
So that
enough.
268,
Was it 63 per quarter?
Yes.
63, and it says 252, so I'm looking at 268, is that correct? 24 times 2.
It's fine.
About
If
268.
it wasn't metered, it really isn't really relevant, right? So, yeah,
it wasn't.
yeah.
It is
So-
67.
We did raise the water rates for this season, so that's why I was using that going forward rate.
Do we have any representative from our
We need to take it.
community garden group here?
No, I don't think they did.
They would know,
Right.
they would know how many days they're watering
Mhm.
on average, so hopefully,
Well, I mean, a
Sorry.
vegetable garden. But they're.
yeah.
they're
Colin's got his hand up.
Yep, sorry, Colin.
So one of the things that I built into this MOU that the previous one didn't have is an out clause. So if the council approves this on, say, one number, like you run $67 a quarter, and you determine, partway through this MOU that the community gardens is using significantly more water than what you would have anticipated, you have a 30-day out clause, so you can bow out of the agreement and say, okay, we need to
That's what I
look at
did.
renegotiating
Right.
That's
the
what I did.
rates.
I like that.
Or alternatively, if the city, as we know, the water rates haven't, this is the first time they've been adjusted in many, many years. If there's another upward adjustment such that the city is losing money on this, then again, you can use that out clause.
And I don't think we were ever here trying to get the cost of the total amount of water that they used. I think
No.
that the city's trying to support those community gardens and encourage them to continue. But we thought it was important that the council look at the rates and consider the costs to the city. Because once you set this precedent with this group, we may have to set this with other groups as well. So.
Okay.
Councilman French.
So I would continue with the adjusted current rate for 10 units. And reevaluate after the first quarter. And if we need to Not necessarily put that in the language, just set it at 63.
67.
Oh, sorry, 67, sorry,
I
67,
was getting ready to
sorry,
agree with you till you said
67.
that.
Sorry. They called not my discount, sorry.
I was getting ready to agree with you.
I was just reading the previous documents.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The previous does.
Yeah, we're gonna change it to 67.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, Councilman Williams.
I would just like to add something before we vote. The community garden on Jefferson Street happens to be in Census Tract 36. And Census Tract 36 has a poverty level of 51%. The community garden supplies food to the community for free. So I just want to say that as well as we make this adjustment so that we know the benefit of what the community garden has been able to do here in the community. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion. Yeah, I would like to move that we support this, the community gardens proposal for water supply and usage. And this is the extent, if I understand it, for the next 5 years.
So I think you already have a motion, a second as to the agreement. What you need is a motion to amend the agreement to basically add in your $67 a quarter for A, B, and C. And then you'll vote on that and then the main motion.
Okay, so move.
Do we have support for that?
Support that.
Just say. City Clerk Domingo.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes,
Yes,
Williams,
Yes,
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Now motion to, we already have the motion for the rate. We have a motion to approve the overall MOU. And
so move.
so we have now vote for that. City Clerk Domingo.
you got to support, right?
Support.
There's already, yeah.
Councilmember
I was trying to listen to see what you were gonna say.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes,
French,
Yes,
Williams,
yes.
Reed.
Yeah.
Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Future agenda, I'm sorry, Colin.
No, I was gonna, you're in, go ahead. I have a few good minutes.
Future agenda item. Attorney Hartley.
So as council's aware, we've, it's been kind of quiet, but the city is working with the USDA on a very large sewer project. I'm gonna be bringing to council, a couple of easements. We've recently discovered that, at least with the Star lift station, apparently the easements were never, executed, so Star has already agreed to do an easement with us, so they've got that and they're reviewing it, and once they sign it, I'm gonna bring it to council to approve. Basically, it's the, what we're talking about is the access drive up to the lift station. The other problem with that particular one is right before the access drive, Consumers Energy has a little strip right across our access road to that lift station. Don't worry, I've also had a conversation with Consumers Energy, and they have also agreed to give us an easement across their property. That is in the works, but I'm gonna need to bring those to you for approval. Because I know USDA wants to get moving on these. Fortunately, Mr. O'Brien has located, I believe, easements for 2 of our other lift stations. We're looking at the 4th facility to make sure that we're covered there, but I just want to make you aware there's going to be easements coming to you so that we have legal access to these properties that we've been using for years without easements.
Any other agenda items? Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Yes, I know we talked about it in the past about the leaves. We know we're getting that, that's getting ready to come up here again. What we're gonna do far as helping get leaves cleaned up. So I'd like to bring that back to the table. I know we talked about not spending that much money, but what can we do to help support before it gets started? Because it's coming soon.
Councilman French.
And related to leaves, I would like our city attorney to look into what ordinances we have and whether or not we can suspend the supposed illegality of keeping your leaves on the easement on the weekend before they have to be picked up by Granger. So many of us in the city receive notification that we are in violation because we rake our leaves on the weekend because we work for a living. And then we stack them on our easement, waiting for the Wednesday when Granger will pick them up. And that turns out is in violation. So I would like for us to look at that and see if we can't either adjust it or do something so that we're not put at risk for having to haul our leaves twice every week.
Yeah, Colin.
I guess what I would suggest, rather than putting it as an agenda item for suspension. Because suspending an ordinance is always a probably not advisable thing. If you want to put it on for discussion to amend it, I would suggest that.
Okay.
But I wonder, does that fall under the same ordinance with the garbage cans? You're not supposed to leave your garbage cans out there either?
No, because they're different.
24 hours.
I mean, I understand the garbage. And the leaf issue is that we have unlimited bags. And those of us who are surrounded by trees, we put 20 bags a week out. And so that's different than garbage, right? It's, you know, if we had one container, I can understand. We could just haul that one container. But when it's 20 bags for a month or more in the fall, it just becomes really a challenge. So. And I'd also like to talk to the code enforcement because I couldn't actually find the ordinance. I could not find the language that was quoted to me as being in violation. So it may be a city policy rather than an ordinance. And
That
so,
one I don't know.
Yeah.
right, so that's what I want to get to.
It may not be like under a solid waste ordinance. Council may not be aware that the city also adopts property maintenance ordinances through, which are from the International Property Maintenance Code. So it may be in there. I'd have to double check with.
Right, but I could not find links in our website today.
Yeah, our links on our website don't have that because it's a completely separate manual that the council adopts by reference every. I can't remember if it's every 3 years or every 5 years.
Okay. So we'll fix it next meeting.
We'll look into it, definitely. Any other future agenda items?
I have one there.
Yeah, Councilman Williams.
Yeah, so earlier today, I forwarded, the email to the interim city manager, requesting at least 3 competitive models for programs, initiatives that examine and address housing insecurity and instability, equity and access to market rent, and promoting resident participation, retention and thriving in Albion. Models should be derived from best practices taken from similarly situated cities, diversity, population, economy, poverty, that have made measurable progress toward resolving housing concerns. And council will consider this at a later date. This interim city manager will have enough time allotted to him to provide this as well, and we can talk further about it if there's any questions. But we have to fight for the population of people that we currently have here in the city of Albion and fight in order to create housing opportunities for them to remain here in the city of Albion. We know due to COVID, housing prices have went up. Also, rental property affordability has went up as well. I think it's time now that we actually do a study to see if the city needs possibly more competitive rental properties, or if there's a way that we can create housing opportunities for people who are paying market rate rent to live in income-based housing or low-income housing. This is really a concern of mine. Like I said before, census tract 36 is recorded at 51% poverty according to the most recent census data. And if we can do anything to help impact that and the systematic issues that are attached to poverty, then I think we should definitely try to address those issues as best we can. and also to grow the city in a way that we won't continually have to raise rates on utilities and things because we're losing so much of our population. I know we all have taken a hit with the water rates, and that was just a discussion that we had as well. But providing these opportunities could bring Albion back to the place that it actually needs to be. We know the population needs to be around 12,000. Currently, we're at around 7,700. So let's fight to get those people here. Let's fight to keep the people that we have here and provide reasonable and affordable housing to members of our community.
So you were looking for 3 models?
Yes. And he has the email already, so.
So
What did you receive the email?
I received the email. I'm a little confused because I think this is something the council would have to direct the city manager to do. So are you asking for a future agenda item for that, or?
We can do that. Let's go about it. Let's go about it in that way. Present a agenda item. We'll discuss it and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Any other future agenda items? Yep.
I'm not sure if we have to address this in a future agenda item or the council notes, but where are we at in hiring a new HR manager or assistant? Is it the assistant city manager does the HR job, right?
I think City Manager Snyder was talking about making the HR position a true HR position rather than assistant city manager. I know she had applications for that. I believe she's returning to work on the 21st of November, and I think she plans on moving forward at that point with hiring people for that position.
All right, thank you.
Any other future agenda items? All right, public comments. This time, if there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and speak in regards to any item to council, you have 3 minutes. If you would like to stand and state your name and address. Oh, Mr. Gladden.
And I think there's some officers in the hallway that might want to come in.
I was just going to ask if I could possibly have 3 officers come in.
Unless they got called away, they were here.
Officer,
Oh, no.
Officer Barney. Then there's Officer Burchett. And I hope I can get this one right. Tabi Cuba.
Crispy. Tabe Crispy.
Crispy.
Come on in,
Come
folks.
Hey, Pete.
How are you? How are you? How are you? You're used to seeing my other sister. First of all, I like to say that all too often in our lifetimes, we hear negative. They tend to come and clothe us, and then they start to speak to us and affect how we act and how we see things. On the 10th, 12/22, I saw true humanity, caring, grace. And I want to thank you for that. My nephew, Marcus Bradford, 52 years of age, had a massive stroke. He was with me. He's worked 31 years at Star Commonwealth for security. When he did not go to work that night, his boss knew him so well. This is why we need to know one another and care and see what is that person is all about. He could say he's never been late to work, never called in. I went by the house dark, 2 cars, no lights. Somebody's got to go in there and see what's wrong. That somebody was you. Somehow. What to do, when to do, how to do.
we've had little meetings. I guess you're the strong one that kicked in the door. I appreciate you coming to the house. I just got out of the hospital. For you to let me know how things were going. It was very traumatic. Without your help, Betty, you may understand, he not only would have died, but he lay there just a little while longer. So we thank you. We have so much to be proud of, but we don't use the time to say how much we thank one another for doing the basic things that we should do every day. Just being a human being and being allowed to live in this world. I say to you, continue to strive in this area that you're going. Your eyes, your gestures, what you said to me comforted me. And I know others will appreciate that. So I say fly high, as the eagle, walk sturdy, be calm, and use the sound mind that you were blessed. And I thank God for having a police department where we can look and say, thank you.
And Barbara, I'm sure Tom would have also been very proud of the individuals. Definitely. Anybody else in the gallery would like to stand and address the council?
Jay Loomis, 408 West Ash Street. Ladies and gentlemen of council, Mayor Schneider, thank you for the opportunity for me to talk. About a year and a half ago, I don't know how close this is to policy or to management, but I kind of like, just so you guys are aware of it. About a year and a half ago, my wife and I decided to put a addition on the back of our house, a mudroom. Spoke with several different contractors in town, carpenters. Finally, after hearing no, or we're at least a year out or whatever, finally one of them said, if you can wait 7 months, I can get to you. Well, if that's all you got, that's all you got. So I waited 7 months. He come through, did a fantastic job. He got all the permits. He finished up and he said to me, he said, you're gonna have to have electric in here because there's stairs. And I said, yeah, I kind of figured that. I was gonna put freezers back here anyways. So he said, you'll need electrical permits. And I said, yeah, I was gonna take care of that. I'm gonna look for an electrician. He wished me luck on that. It was Chris Ruff. He did a very good job. After he was done, he and I talked about it about 2 or 3 weeks later. As soon as he was done, because I was going to finish it up and it's not living space, so I'm not really going to do anything other than electric. I paid him. Keep my bills paid. Apparently, somewhere along the line on another job site, the inspector who had done the initial inspection, the rough end, whatever it's called, I'm not a contractor, spoke with him and said, I don't know how you're going to get paid because that guy's never put in for an electrical permit. And Chris said, well, he's already paid me. He's going to do the permit himself. Well, as a result of that, and I'm not sure why, but he showed up at the inspector showed up at the house. Of course, it was locked. I was not home. I wasn't aware of it. And he failed me, I guess. I didn't know that either. All right. Now, this 7 months from last March puts me into December. This is not a heated area. I was looking for a contractor. I am not exactly sure how I got a hold of the electrical inspector's phone number, but I did have his cell phone. I don't know if Cornerstone gave it to me. I don't know who gave it to me, but somebody gave it to me. So I called him on his cell phone and he said, I explained to him I was having a very difficult time finding electricians. And he said, you know, if you know it all about what you're doing. And I said, well, I've done a little bit of it. I can figure I can get by on it. He said, when you get it roughed, just get the permit, get it roughed in. When you got it stapled every 4 feet or within 6 inches of the box, all the wire ran, give us a call, we'll do the first inspection, we'll go from there. Now, like I said, this was November, January, so it didn't get worked on till April or May. Okay, April or May come by, and you're gonna see my mistakes in this too, but I am not a contractor, I'll say this every time. Anyways, we get through, April, May comes by, I went down, I got the electrical permit, turned it in. The first thing they did, because the second page on the electrical permit was blank, they called me the next day. Never got that fast of a response from anybody, but that was cool. And they said, why is this page blank? And I said, because it has a whole bunch of words on it that I don't understand. I'm not a contractor. The only thing I understand on it is it says homeowners can do their own work so long as they buy the permit. They said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm putting in 3 outlets, 4 outlet, 3 outlets, 1 outlet outside, which would be a GFI, and 2 lights. She said, okay, you'll have to pay an additional $6. I don't know where she got that, but I said, okay, they billed me for it. I paid for it.
Mr.
All right.
Loomis, so we are.
Are we at 3 minutes? All right,
So,
I'll come back next week.
No,
I think you guys should think about what you're doing. Damn, I wish I'd done that.
that's a,
Um,
if we need to discuss after, we can definitely discuss after.
okay, sorry.
Anybody else in the gallery like to stand?
Good evening. My name is Keena Williams, 414 North Huron. Just want to encourage everyone to get out and vote tomorrow. Polls open at 7 and close at 8. Way to go, Albion.
Anybody else in the gallery?
My name is Artie Archer. I have a complaint about, in the neighborhood. The light just keep going real dark.
Ms. Archer, can you give us your address?
Oh, 518 West Center Street.
Go ahead.
It's real dark out there. Can't see nothing. Then I have a complaint on 009 Lincoln Street too, where my parents live at. It's real dark over there too. Can't see nothing. Somebody can just walk up to you and rob you. The same thing at 518. It's real dark over there. They need to do something about the lights and stuff out there. And then we had, in the daytime, we have like, whatever you call them things, raccoons, groundhogs, and they are real bad. They get in your garbage can. You go outside, you open up your garbage. It's like, they jumping out at you. So that's all I gotta say. If somebody can do something about that. And that's it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else in the gallery? Do we have anybody online? Okay. City managers report. We have a report today.
I only had one question regarding a stolen truck from the city that we actually recovered. Recovered a week ago. Just over a week ago. We had 2 trucks that were stolen from the Victory Parks building. One was returned and then the newer one was stolen. Luckily, one of our wastewater employees was on his way to the airport with his wife and stopped at the Meyer gas station on Airport Road and saw it sitting in the McDonald's parking lot. So myself and 3 of my officers responded over there along with Blackman Township and recovered the truck.
An arrest?
Well, we're still working on the investigation, but yeah. So the truck was recovered with very little damage to it. So, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
Did they find out?
we're working on that, but yes.
Any other council member comments? Yes, Councilman French.
I have the distinct pleasure of announcing to the world that the Michigan Community Service Commission has awarded the Corporate Impact Award the Castro Concepts for 2022. They will be honored on November 17th at the Fox Theater, and this is for all the work that Castro Concepts does in the community, whether it's supporting of fireworks or swinging at the shell, or all the work that Castro Cares is doing in our community as well. So they will be honored for that. And so I'm very excited to bring that to council and to the community.
Definitely. Yeah.
One more thing.
Sure.
I can jump in. Sorry about that. I received a phone call from Mickey Bittner today, right at 5 o'clock, and I just remembered this. He told me that we just received grant funding to repair multiple bridges in the city of Albion, for maintenance on the bridges, not repairing the bridges, but maintenance on the bridges.
It's slated to be fixed anyway.
That's being done. Maintenance on other bridges, which will keep them from getting to that condition, hopefully. So it's a $500,000 grant, and I believe we are agreed to pay 10%. So our match would be $50,000, which is great for a lot of repair bridges in town. So
that includes Albion Street.
Albion Street's totally separate. That's a total rebuild of that next summer.
Soon, yeah. Okay.
But this is maintenance on other bridges to keep them from becoming that
Like
condition.
Albion.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's great to hear that we're going to get that money for the community.
Right. Are we on council member comments?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like, this is Domingo. I'd like to just share a little bit of what we experienced when we went to MML. And of course, everyone can chime in. Councilman Lawler, Mayor Snyder, and I went to the Michigan Municipal League State Conference in October the 21st, 19th through the 21st in Muskegon. And of course, you know that the conference is focused on city government, good quality city government. And good quality city government entails all of those things in terms of capital improvements, like we're talking about strategic planning, land usage, and things like that. So as council members, we really got training in terms of providing good quality attention to our city government. And the conference started out with an impressive situation in terms of community excellent awards. And the MML gives communities that have done magnificent things, you know, as a whole in their community, an award in terms of being outstanding communities. And Cassopolis was the winner. Cassopolis is a very small village, but they showed up in mass, and they say, you know, a quarter of the village was there at the conference to show off. But it just exemplifies how they have worked together as a total community and really did focus on specific areas of the community, and it's award winning. Yeah, without taxpayer dollars. The citizenry is comprised of 1,704 citizens in the community. They did a free year-round plaza. They've done infrastructure downtown. They've improved the technology industry has come to town, including new jobs, a complete community transformation, a beachfront revitalization, boardwalk, children's park, paintings and plantings and banners, and a lot of media coverage in terms of their accomplishments. And this is an example of their downtown, which is very beautiful, as well as the new apartments and things like that. And the other cities that have presented for, I guess, were in the competition: Traverse City, Royal Oak, Farmington Hills. And we were challenged with, what do you want your city to look like in 10 years? And by looking at the city in terms of long range objectives, maybe we can be one of those cities that I remember we got an award in the 70s as the All-American City. And so we had the Tree City, and so we've gotten awards, but I think hopefully we can set our goals in terms of within the next 10 years of getting other awards in terms of outstanding accomplishments. Farmington Hill, oh, just go back this one. Okay. Back. Okay, I was just going to say Farmington Hills, I think was Farmington. No, okay, go back.
Hit the up arrow, hit the up arrow.
There's no up arrow.
On the keyboard, yes, it is.
Okay, Farmington Hills, they had a project that was called the Hawk. And that was all Harrison High School. They've made it into a community center that really encompasses the entire community. They got honorable mention, but they didn't win. And parking lots in Royal Oak turned into a green space, and Boardman Lake Loop trails. And all of these accomplishments were done without tax dollars. It was done basically by grants. That's what I know, but not directly. Okay, next. Okay, and we saw Danielle Nelson Beard. I don't know if anyone here remembers her, but she used to work with EDC. She is now working with the MML, and she talked about greenhouse federal dollars coming to Michigan. And 1.3 million for water infrastructure, $1 million for public transportation, and 100 billion and 110 million Great Lakes protection and restoration. And if I remember correctly, we have discussed all of those areas at one time or the other. So hopefully we can tap into some of that, some of those resources. It was nice to see a familiar face. Okay, and creating a climate plan and funding opportunities. And those are some of the funding opportunities or planning that we can look into in terms of green teams. Everything is solar and green. And Serve My City at mml.org is a resource in terms of keeping abreast of what funding sources are available and make the case that sustainability is important to the city. So we have a lot of opportunities coming up that I think we can take advantage of. We were made aware of. Okay, and Albion was mentioned in one of the keynotes presentations regarding arts and culture and community development plan. And one of the first cities that he mentioned was Albion, because we have arts and culture, including music. Walk the Beat was mentioned, as well as Warren Treaty. And Warren Treaty is marketing themselves as from Albion. So, I mean, our name is all over the state in terms of a good place to come for entertainment and culture. And of course, our theater and things. So people do come in town to visit our community. And he went on to talk about how to market your community in terms of arts and culture. MML has strong showcase of influence, and that just kind of identifies some of the current legislative tracking that MML is doing in terms of disabled veterans, reimbursements for taxpayer for PP expansion, solar energy, of course, election reform, statewide septic code, water, solid waste, rewrite, drain code, and consolidation consolidation election. So those are some of the current and legislative tracking items that are going. And the representative said that there are about $6 billion left in unspent funds during the lame duck session. So there is money available. There are items that are going to be, so it is our responsibility to keep abreast of what's going on and to take advantage of the opportunities as they become available for us. And assets needed for competitive, that just identifies what we should do and what we should look at in terms of asking for money. I mean, it's easy to ask for it, but if you want to be competitive, there are certain things that you really need to do. And MML is there in terms of providing technical expertise as well as internal grant management and financial policies, along with other things. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, and then I'm going to be done, policing in Washtenaw County. Derek Johnson has been hired by the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office, and he's a social worker turned policeman. And so his responsibility is to engage the community in policing. And he gave us a lot of pointers in terms of how the community can work with the police department rather than against the police department. And he's willing to come down and meet. I know that there's a equity committee that has been formed, and they're looking at police practices and things like that. But he's willing to share information with us regarding compliance, police reform, systematic approaches and things like that. So I thought it was a good presentation in terms of the community working with the police force, because he said a lot of times the community really doesn't know what policemen do. They know what they don't do, but they don't know what they do. So I put that in there because I think it was a good example of how communities are transitioning in terms of working together.
Is that it?
I think it's one more. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. And the next MML is going to be in Traverse City, and that is October 17th through the 20th, 2023. Thank you. It was indeed, thank you for allowing me to go. It was a great learning experience, and I got a chance to meet new people and network.
Any other council member comments?
I just think we need to wait and hear what Mr. Loomis has to say before we go.
No, I mean, so you can talk one-on-one like myself, but yeah. Councilman Lawler.
If I could take two things away from this convention, first, I want to thank the citizens of Albion and my precinct, 4th precinct. I've been all over telling them thank you. So there are two things that I can take away from what I've learned by going to this convention is they talked a lot about public engagement. I mean, a whole lot. But one of the things that stuck out to me is when they was talking about it, they also mentioned, make sure you look at who's not at the table because they have a voice too. So that kind of stuck with me. And I also attended a couple sessions about housing and ARPA funds. I wanted to know how ARPA funds in a deeper depth, what can we use it for? But I missed this. Sorry, missed this.
No problem.
But I did attend 2 others, but they also, what caught my attention about housing is they said that people lose their houses due to overtaxation and foreclosure. So overtaxation kind of caught my attention because I have heard about taxes going up. They don't know why. maybe it's too high. Maybe it's something that we can look into to see if we not making mistakes. Because it is something that's out there and people do think that they are being overtaxed. So those were the two things that I took away from this meeting, besides the things that my fellow council member and our mayor talked about. So once again, I thank the city of Albion for sending me.
Kind of to piggyback on the learning experiences, kind of like to what Councilwoman Waller was saying. City of Albion is not the only community that has issues with communication. Pretty much every community is trying to figure out how do you communicate to everybody, what platform, what methods, because we all know we have generations of people who don't use social media. We have some folks who may not be able to read. We have some folks, you know, who don't go and get the local newspaper. So how do we communicate with everybody? So that is not only a problem that we face, but every community that was basically at the MML also Signal was an issue for them too. So if anybody ever has that perfect answer, we'd be happy to utilize, but we just need to continue doing what we're doing to communicate and hopefully find an alternative method. As well, learning about the transformation of the village of Cassopolis. That was huge because I remember traveling through Cassopolis on a regular basis for work. And they were very much in a similar position that we were in about 10 years ago, where downtown was pretty much a ghost town. But each of us had the opportunity to talk to the leaders that were there and representing that village of Cassopolis and how did you do it? The main takeaway that I had from the conversations was continuity and leadership and bringing everybody to the table to talk. And they did a wonderful job. So the people who were able to bring in millions of dollars, like Councilwoman Lawler said, no tax, all grants, all type of, you know, funds that were being leveraged to get more funds. Those are things that take time to see come to fruition. So I believe that with the leadership that we currently have, we can get there at some point. We know that because Chief Kip sent out a message to all of us, Consumers Energy has recently allowed the city of Albion to be a staging for their utility trucks. So we had over 200 trucks within the city of Albion ready for this latest windstorm that came through. That's because of the work that our EDC has put in place with Consumers Energy and what they have going out right now in our business park. So they're looking to build, they're looking to stay, and they want to enhance. And being a staging place was a huge asset for us this past weekend. But again, the leadership needs to maintain. We all experienced the Sweets on Superior. Billy Bears is part of the chamber. He took last year's program and built on it. And I ran out of candy after an hour. I think other businesses and organizations were very similar in that same effect. We had so many kids, not only from our community, but again, people coming in from outside communities, walking our downtown. Huge asset. So again, those are the reasons why we need to make sure that leadership stays in place. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.